moral and identity. Everything that I speak of is well-rounded. It's not set for one or the other. So I would like to get the morals and my identity out first. A lot of people waking up to who they are, and they're waking up to the truth. Accepting that truth no matter who they are. We have a lot of people that's taking it aside. It is very hard to keep the morals and the identity of who I am by bloodline, because of the fact that the enemy is going to attack you. He's going to try to take away the morals that you stand for and the identity that you stand for. And if you stand for the morals and the identity of the Word of God, by the laws, understand something. Renewed, reformed, reborn is all that you need in order to come into this truth. And once you are renewed, reborn, and reformed, all right, you are not of your characteristics or the identity in which you came from. You are God's identity underneath God's morals and laws spiritually. You are reborn a new person. Don't let anybody shake you from your new identity, new morals, because of your past. This is why we see so many disciples in the gospel, and even some that were given names in the Old Testament, because they have lost that characteristic that came along with that name. They're now getting a new name to go along with that new moral, that new identity for that new characteristics. So anytime that I speak, we speak about the morals and ethics that we should carry to honor and please the one true God. That gives us an identity that adapts to that one true path of the one true God. So where do we see morals and identity? 16 in Numbers chapter 16. Now Korah, son of Izhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, he betook himself along with Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, and On, son of Peleth, descendants of Reuben, to rise up against Moses, together with 250,000 Israelites. He also went and got chieftains of the community, chosen in the assembly. He went and got also the men of reputation, renown. These stand for a lot of things. Now remember, all right, at this time in Numbers chapter 16, he had gathered everybody out of Egypt. God worked all those miracles, and he had brought them over and did this. Now, amongst these people that he went and got against, he went and got a bunch of people against him and Aaron. Moses and Aaron had all these people up against them. All the tribe, 250,000 Israelites, all right, assemblies that were assigned, and men of repute. All of these people had came up out of Egypt. Now, who are the men of repute? The men of renown, all this other stuff. Remember, there was men of renown that we see in Genesis back then as there is today. So there were men of reputation. It could be stand for anything, but right now we're going to stay on men of reputation. That means that they were not Israelites. They were not part of that bloodline, but they were men of repute. So by them being men of repute, if they came out of Egypt with them, it wasn't just Israel that came. So what does that mean if it wasn't just Israel that came with the men of repute? That means that God had told Moses, anybody who believes, anybody who wants to leave, let them leave. Let them come. Now, we fit this in to Deuteronomy 23:7, where it states that we were visitors and foreigners in the land of Egypt at one time. So treat them kindly, because even in 3 generations of them following in the word of God and following the laws, they can be brought into the priesthood. So they were with the Israelites at this time. They were with these people that came out of Egypt, which goes to bring us into that everybody is accepted. Remember the well-rounded thing I always say? Everybody was accepted as long as they carried the what? The moral and the identity and the characteristics of God and his laws. So, where did they lose their morals? After he brought them up against them, Moses sat down. They said, well, hey, what makes you the prince and the boss over everything, and you and Aaron to get to decide all this other stuff? Now, we see this in the characteristics of certain races today. Can't get along, can't do that. Always got to argue who's the best, who's doing this, who's doing that. So now, they trying to go against Moses and Aaron. So he said, light an incense and let's do this. Let's just pray to the one true God, whoever Yahweh decides, whatever. And if you live a long life, then hey, so be it. What happened? All of the men of repute, the assemblies, the 250,000 from the Israelite, all of them got swallowed up. And then what happened the next day? The stiff-necked hearted people, they, even though the other ones seen what happened, they still came up and said the same thing, got swallowed up the next day. Why? Because they were all complaining. They lost their morals and their identity to what Moses had taught them in the commandments. And started asking, where's our milk and honey land? And where's this? You promised us cattle and vineyards and all this stuff. And we still in the desert. After the Lord had worked all these miracles for you, you still go against the grain of the one true God, lose your morals, identity in your ethnics and disrespect them. Let them go ahead and sit right there. He said, burn the incense. Let's do this. You guys stand back real quick, because watch this. They went and they stood back. He said, tell the others, don't go in that tent. They went in that tent, boom, he swallowed them up and covered it up. They went back and started complaining, did the same thing, disrespecting the Lord. After all that stuff that happened, being hard-headed and carried a characteristics of where is this, where is that. Why would you say that? I just saved your lives, took you out of slavery. I brought bread from the heavens, and you still going to be disrespectful? Bam. He got them on the next day. So you see those characteristics of wanting this, wanting that, and making it more about money and greed and losing your morals. Or if you have a job to do and you start stealing from helping your friends steal from your job, you just lost your moral and your ethics of what you were supposed to be for that job. If you're a parent and you're not correcting your kid in a spiritual, loving, in a godly way, guess what? Then you just lost your morals and your identity of who you are. If you are an officer, and guess what? I hold fast prayer for every officer, every prosecutor, every judge, everybody on this earth, every world leader, every person that watches, don't watch, everybody, all right, equally. So if you're not carrying those characteristics and you're a part of something, guess what? You lost your morals and your identity, especially if you are going against someone that is of Yahweh and these people and represents these people, whether if it be a Gentile, converted, reborn, renewed, or somebody that is of the bloodline. Understand, it says, watch by their works and their righteousness, their characteristics. Even when the police and the FBI or CIA identify somebody, they identify them by their past characteristics, their morals, and that's how they identify them. So if you don't carry the morals and the characteristics of God, what identity do you have? Because some of us need to let go of the identity of the past that we carry in our DNA or don't even know about, and be readapted and reborn and renewed into the morals and the identity of the one true God. So you see how they took themselves out of the characteristics, went against Moses and Aaron, lost their true identity, and they got swallowed up. And we also see that it wasn't just them, because the Lord judged equally, because he brought everybody that wanted to come, that believed, out of Egypt. We see this in the new covenant. So in the new covenant, if you believe in the Messiah, who he is, and all of the truth, carry the faith by works, by moral and identity, thus thou shalt be saved.